Well, Steve, it's a difference for us to sit down and have a chat instead of being worried about the game that's just gone and you worried about your players and all the rest of it.
Yeah, no, it's nice to obviously come and see you, Jim, and have a bit of a, like you said, a bit of a chinwag about how things have gone, and yeah, to reflect and to look forward, really.
Yeah, good. Steve, just a bit about yourself. You're a married man, 3 children?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I've got 3 children. So I've got Brianne and Hayden, and my 2 youngest, and I've got Aaliyah, who's my oldest. So yeah. And
very much a family man.
Yeah. You know, the wife obviously supports everything I do in terms of football and things like that. So yeah, it's Hayden's just started playing a little bit as well, and Aaliyah played. So you know, it's all going football orientated in our house, definitely.
Your daughter plays.
She did. She still plays now, but she played for the district and stuff like that when she was younger. But she's just playing for fun now, really. So. Yeah,
well, they get to that stage. She'll be talking about boys soon, won't she?
I hope not. No. She's like I said, she's 15 now. So yeah, I'm sure boys and other things in that area will come. Yeah.
My mum used to say you always knew when a boy started thinking about girls, he started washing behind his ears.
Yeah, definitely.
Steve, you've been a Cleve man most of your life. I mean, is that the only club you've ever played for?
No, I played for EFC Cheltenham as well, which is the old Ensley first team in the Hellenic Prem. And I've started my career playing for a team called Cleve Portfolio, which then turned into Clevonians, which was run by a guy called Pit Rhodes. He gave me my debut at the age of 14, and I spent some good couple of years playing with the likes of the Bonnish brothers and Lee Taylor and a few others that really helped me to give me a bit of a knowledge and grounding of local football and to really learn from them. And played a little bit for Woodmancote as well, just on the odd occasion, and again with people like Paul Finch and the Daly brothers and Lee Gallagher and people that have been experienced around the Cheltenham scene. That was kind of my grounding and give me the...
Unfortunately gone now, the old Woodmancote club, eh?
Yeah, that's right, and Clevonians is gone as well, or Cleve Portfolio. So yeah, it's a sign of the times that there's football teams that come and go, but as I said, when I was like 14 playing for those, it was certainly, for me, it was a privilege, and like I said, I learnt a lot from some of the lads I was playing with.
You've got to serve your apprenticeship, Steve.
Yeah, you do, and I think it's a shame now, in some ways, that they don't allow you to sign on for an adult team now until you're 16.
Right.
I can understand it in some ways, but then some people are ready to play. I was small at 14, but I was ready to play men's football because I had that desire, that determination, and that little bit of about me. So it's a shame in some ways, but again, I think I can understand why they've done it.
Yeah, a lot of the big clubs are getting young kids on terms now. They sign them up, and there's all sorts of things going on, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to just get the small nucleus of those special players, however way they can, and they're trying to sign lads that are 7, 8, 9, 10 to professional clubs, and if they got a little bit about them, and it's hard because their development hasn't started, and that you're not going to know how they're going to turn out. But I guess the pressure from the top level down is so much that they need to try and look for these, these special players. I read an article looking at League One clubs and sort of League Two clubs, and how almost part of their strategy is to find and develop youngsters to eventually sell on.
Yeah.
To help make their money, to help fund them for the next 2 or 3 years.
It's a good bit of a cash cow.
Definitely, and the more and more, hopefully the FA and the Premier League will introduce more things about homegrown players and stuff like that, which will inevitably help the younger players to have a good career in football, as opposed to some of the big clubs. Their academies are full of Spaniards, they're full of French, they're full of Germans, they're full of Eastern Europeans, and they're good footballers, but ultimately if Britain and England want to improve as a footballing nation, then surely something has to be done about that.
Well, I see some of the academies are cutting back. I mean, Liverpool have just shed 15 out of their academy to save money. I mean, it's a great shame.
Yeah. It ultimately it comes down to money with everything, doesn't it? And I guess if they've got to make cuts somewhere, then is it right to do it at the academy level? You can argue it is, you can argue it isn't. It's really one of those where you think about it. I don't think now, being a Liverpool fan myself, I don't think there's any Steven Gerrards or Jamie Carragher's that are coming through.
Right.
The last real one that probably did it was Mr. Sterling, who went on was sold to Man City, but even we brought him in from QPR. Liverpool did. So it's not, again, that talent isn't there. So
yeah, coming back to Cleve, Steve. I mean, you played for Cleve.
Yeah.
very distinguished career at Cleve.
So yeah, so I made my debut at the age of 16, and yeah, Dave Lewis, who's the general manager down there now, gave me my debut. You know, playing with the likes of Tim Bailiff, Duncan Berry, you know, Carl Walker, John Banfield. You know, they were again some experienced Cleve lads, and to go from Cleve portfolio where I did to go and play for Bishop's Cleve first team was a big step, but it was one that, you know, I playing a Cleve Colts lad, I really, you know, I was playing for the youth team as well, so it was really such an honour for me to go and play for Bishop's Cleve first team, and to have the career I did there. You know, it probably could have gone on longer, but for a silly decision I made. But yeah, you know, I spent a good 12 years playing for the first team, really, with that, apart from, you know, a year and a half out injured, and obviously the season I went and played for Ensley.
Yeah. Now, you were manager at Barometrics, a very successful manager at Barometrics. And I was there the day you won the league. I think they're still trying to calm down.
Yeah, no, anyone who knows me knows that there really is probably two clubs that really mean a lot to me. Barometrics is one, having again played for them when I was 16 on a Sunday morning, and you know, Alan Roberts Dobbin, who started the club, is very close to me, and you know, he's almost like a father figure to me. So when the opportunity came to go back there, when I left Cleve through injury to go and manage them, you know, they just got into the Northern Senior League, so they wanted to make a bit of a, you know, statement, and someone who's got a bit more experience of playing at a decent level and stuff. So I went, and you know, the first few years were very difficult, but it's like similar to what's going on at Cleve at the moment. I know that I'm a good manager, and I know that I can get people to play for me, so it was just about giving myself the time to suss out what I needed and bring the players in with the right experience to help me move forward, and you know, obviously culminated in winning 2 out of 3 trophies 2 years ago.
Yeah, wonderful week, a wonderful season. A lot of good lads there at that time.
Yeah, some very good lads, you know, and I think there's a few standout performances for me from that season. You know, Dave Lodge, who played centre midfield, I brought him in, or he come across from civil service. He had the experience of winning the league and playing at that level, and he helped us out no end. You know, Gary Corn was one of my good friends who I played with at Cleve. Again, his experience as captain was amazing. You know, our back four was built on a solid foundation. It didn't change
Captain
much.
Courageous, Spike.
Yeah, Spike come in. I brought Spike in at the right time as well in January. He came and joined us, and he helped to give us again a bit more experience. But you know, the likes of Rob Reed and Pete Bailey and Johnny and Lockie were the back four, and you know, I didn't hardly change the keeper. And when I did, it was either Ben or Rob. So you know, you had 2 good keepers there, and at the other end, you know, you got Andy Kevin, who scores goals for fun, and it, you know, he proved his worth. And Jack Watts that year really come of age for me. You know, the 2 years before, he'd been on the edges of it and kind of wanted to progress, and that year he really did.
But you took the big mantle of Bishop's Cleve on at a time when basically it was like poison chalice, you've got to say, Steve, because you know, the club was pretty low, very little finance, and you stepped in and decided you were going to take it on. Silly boy.
Yeah, no, I guess you know, you can look at it, and to be honest, I don't think I'd have been given the opportunity if it wasn't in the situation it was to a certain degree, Jim. You know, it was always a dream of mine to manage Bishop Cleve Football Club. So when I did, you know, when it did come, I was never going to say no. You know, the club means so much to me, and I wouldn't have been able to, you know, live myself if I hadn't taken it on. But yeah, it was, you know, I walked through the door, I had one player there, I think it was Harley. Everyone else had gone. Like you said, there was no sort of friendlies in place. There was, you know, for a Southern League club, there was no training schedule. It was literally, like, where do we start? And you know, we had a couple of open training sessions, and players come along, and you'd look at it and you think, yeah, you know, can they quite make it at Southern League level? Have they got the attributes? You know, and we assessed it, and I think credit to Derek Lightstone again for coming with me. You know, me and Dal, as we said before, ran the youth team. Well, Dal was manager of the youth team when I was still playing at the first team, and I helped him. I was his assistant, and we had some good success. So when he come on board again, Jim, it was, you know, amazing for me to have some of his experience and his sort of. Again, he cares about the club, but we looked at players and we thought, are they good enough? And then as a few 2 or 3 games in, you know, they didn't quite fancy it. They weren't quite good enough, so we had to change things round, and then we were going on and on, searching for that elusive first win in the league. And yeah, then, you know, there were some times where it wasn't pretty.
Steve, I filmed one of the first open training sessions, and there was a big lad there. He was a big lad, a goalkeeper. I don't know if you remember him, but my goodness, he he had trouble breathing actually because he was so heavy and out of condition that I watched that lad trying to train. And you watched him as well, and I saw you shake your head. Yeah. And I come home and I said to my son, "Oh, what a job he's got."
Yeah, no, it was, there was a few shaking head moments definitely throughout the first early few weeks and stuff like that. And
I mean, you went through very hard times last season, Steve, and you must have felt it personally. Yeah,
of course you do. At the end of the day, I'm the manager of the football club, so any win is mine, any defeat's mine, and any wrong decisions, it's down to me. And I took everything, to be fair, I wouldn't step back from any challenge. And, yes, there were some horrible times and some desperate times that I wouldn't want to return to. But, we had to do it. We had to get through the season and like I said, to wait until December the 15th, I think it might have been, to get our first win.
Yeah.
20 odd games. I think BBC Sport covered something because Burnley were in a similar situation where they... they didn't win, and obviously in so many games in the Premier League, and it was only us and them on the pyramid that hadn't won a game of football. And things like that you don't like. It's not nice.
But the hardy few supporters who are there, who've been there for many years, they stayed with you, Steve. They had a great faith in you.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is down to the fact that they knew what I was like as a player. I'd like to think that, and credit to them for sticking by the football club. And I think they were excited when I took over, but they knew, what a big challenge it was. I had to win a few people over, Jim. I'm not going to, I'm not going to hide from that.
I can understand that.
People probably looked at me and thought, has he got the credentials to manage this level?
Right.
I only played half a season at Southern League level. I spent 12 years playing at Atlantic League, but only, half a season really at this level. So they probably looked and thought, is he experienced enough? Will he have the pool of players? Will he have to, will he have the know-how to, outthink and outwit some of the managers he's going to be coming up against? And, I knew I had that challenge ahead of me, but I also knew that I had the qualities within me. And, one of the biggest things is I'm a great believer that I'm a people person, and to make sure everyone, understands and knows their roles and responsibilities within, what we're trying to achieve, and that everyone wants to be involved in it. And that's part of the reason why I got into football management, and the Cleve job was just the icing on the cake. And I believed that if I was given the time, that I could turn things around. You
had sort of a triple problem though, Steve, because budget was non-existent almost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, non-existent.
No.
Secondly, you were trying to build a team, and when players see what's happening at a team like that, yourself, it makes it more difficult to attract decent players.
Yeah.
They just don't want to come, do they?
No.
If they don't believe in you, they don't come.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And thirdly, unfortunately, you had a major domestic trauma where your good lady was expecting a second child, broke her ankle.
Yeah.
And so you'd all this to cope with at once.
Yeah, that's right.
Did you ever get a stage at any time, Steve, of thinking, "Oh, I've had enough"?
Quite a few. No.
Even after a couple of beers.
No, quite a few times. You look at it, you analyse it, you think, have I done the right thing here? But I always knew I had, because, like I said, I'm passionate about the club, and to be fair, like Myron was like, yeah, go for it when the opportunity came. But yeah, there were some very tough times last year when you're trying to attract players to come to a football club this second bottom or rock bottom that has won, next to no games, has got no money to say, throw an extra 20 quid their way or whatever. And yeah, it's difficult, but I think had we not had the season we had last year, I don't think I'd have been in the position to be able to assess where we're at and where we needed to improve. And it was important. I wouldn't have liked to have gone through it as difficult as what I did. If I could have picked a scenario, I knew it was going to be tough, but I didn't know it was going to be as tough as what it was. But I also saw enough glimmer of hope in some of the games when we had the better players in and around the 11 that we could do something.
You have gone from one point A to dramatic point B this season, where in actual fact it's dramatically different, Steve.
Yeah.
And you get some really good results.
Yeah.
You've knocked some of the big boys off the top of the tree.
Yeah.
And you're lying about 6th or 7th at the moment.
Yeah, that's right.
God willing.
I know, yeah, 6th.
Now if you get through Christmas and do well, you should be up there and thereabouts in this season.
We should, Jim. But I'm going to say what I've
in football.
Yeah, I've said what I've said for the last few weeks, you know, the biggest thing for us is still to make sure we stay in the league.
Right.
And it might sound crazy when you're sixth in the table, but we've all been involved in and around football long enough to know that teams that, you know, you look at the top level, the likes of Blackpool and Swansea City and teams like that have at some stage, and even, you know, to a degree, Leicester City now, you know, Leicester City are top of the Premier League.
Yeah.
This might come back and bite me on the backside, but I can't imagine Leicester City winning the Premier League.
No, I can't.
You know, so they are inevitably going to slip down, and naturally the teams that should be in and around the top will be there. We're punching above our weight to a certain degree at the moment in terms of our development.
Yeah.
But the squad of players I've got, and it's like I said to them on Saturday after Saturday's win, you know, something good can happen at this football club if we can keep this group of players together.
Yeah.
Because they're young enough. It might not happen
People will
this
come
year.
hunting, won't they?
It might not happen next year. But, you know, within 2 or 3 years when they're, you know, 25, 26, 27, and 2 or 3 years experience at Southern League level, they could be a good side.
You could, however, have a record season, Steve, because look at the stats, and everybody looks at stats nowadays. We seem to have gone very American that way. The highest finish for the club ever was 2011-2012. It was 11th in the league.
Yeah, there's an argument.
So, you know, that is a target.
Yeah, there's an argument going on about that as well, because I think a few seasons before, the gaffer Collie and the boys finished 11th as well. So Collie and Sykesy, two former managers, always, you know, have this. We were best. We were, you know. So yeah, at 10th would be amazing.
But better than 11th.
10th would be amazing, Jim.
Better would be Cleel's history.
Yeah, definitely. 10th would be amazing, you know, and that would be a great credit to the lads that I've got there. And yeah, certainly got one eye on that for sure. Yeah.
I mean, you're beginning to see one of your players got an opportunity to go on and improve their income, etc., etc., and refuse to take it, preferring to stay at Cleve. Yeah, you know, that's an indication of the spirit you create in that squad, surely.
Yeah, you know, we got a good spirit, we got a good bunch of lads, and like you said, you know, to opt to turn away from some of the bigger clubs that would be able to offer more money and play the same level, and you know, the lads have taken it and been good. You know, not taken it and decided to stay at Cleve, which is a great credit to myself, Derek and Sean, and the atmosphere we created at Cleve. But you know, it also says a little bit about them.
Yeah.
You know, it says about them that they can see a vision and share a vision that we want to try and achieve together. So, you know, I'm delighted, obviously, that they have stayed.
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be other teams that come in for some of my players if they can keep playing well. But I'd like to think that, you know, we have got something special at Cleve that will make them stay. You
mentioned man management, Steve. I mean, people think going in the dugout and shouting a lot is probably the primary role of a football manager. Well, it is for some. But you actually have a much wider remit than that, you know.
Yeah, you've got to be, you know, it's like I joke with Sean and Del all the time that, you know, they've always got 20 friends. I've only got 11, and it's the 11 I pick on a Saturday. But, you know, first and foremost, every member of my squad is important to me as the other. You know, there's no one that's more important, because without any of them, we won't be able to do what we're trying to do. So, as man management goes, you know, it's not just about shouting at them and screaming at them on a Saturday afternoon or you know, you almost have to become, you know, an ear for them to listen to and sound off at. And you want to involve the players in terms of sharing their vision. We had a session after training on the other Tuesday. We were training, it started to get a bit wet and slippy and stuff, so we just sat inside, and I just sat there in front of the 20 lads that were there and said, do you believe what you can achieve this year? You know, and then you get the usual, say that there's 2 or 3 that will say something,
yeah,
and then we asked them about different things and had a bit of an open conversation about what we're trying to achieve and where we think we can go. And it was, and for me, it's not just about Steve Cleo, Derek Lightstone, Sean Bryan picking a squad of players, picking a team out there to go and win a game of football. It's about, you know, the 20 or 25 of us that are all involved going on a journey. And, you know, the more the lads can see that, and yes, there's disappointments when they're not in the 11 and they think they should, because every player wants to play every minute. But, you know, there will be a time where they can be involved in something quite special that's happening at Bishop Cleve Football Club. And you get some moans and groans and things like that, but, you know, by and large, most people can see their roles and responsibilities within the squad. So yeah, it's certainly not just a Saturday afternoon 3 o'clock till 5, or Tuesday night quarter to 7 till quarter to 8 until 10 o'clock job. You know, there's more to it than that.
But you're also breeding success at the club in different ways, because the reserve team under Rich is doing very, very well.
Yeah.
And the thirds are doing well.
Yeah, in Rich Gill, you've got a lad who wants to learn and develop and play, learn and develop his managerial side of things. He does a lot with the Colts and he's got some good ideas. He's starting to get the transition into managing men's football, and he's learning at a tough league. The Southern League's tough, but I've got experience of managing and playing at a good level. Rich is coming into a league which is some ways tougher to a degree because there's a lot of local side. It's a county league, so
yeah.
You've got a lot of local sides in there. You've got a lot of Bristol sides and
that's their total focus.
Yeah, and it's quite difficult, and to be a reserve team in that league as well. So he's playing against a lot of first teams.
Yeah.
And that in its own mind is a bit of a psychological thing in some ways. So he's doing a great job, and Triggy in the third team. Again, if you look at last year, the seconds saved off relegation, we were reprieved from relegation, and the thirds needed to win, the last few games to make sure they stayed up. And if you now look at it, I think the thirds are third, the seconds might be 6th or 7th, maybe 8th, and we're 6th in the table.
And taking some big scalps.
Yeah, so, the club in the whole is moving in the right direction.
Very healthy, yeah.
And it's good to see.
Excellent. Steve, we're almost out of time. 2 remaining questions I've got for you. The first one is ambition for the team and then for yourself.
Okay.
What do you think? Have you got any?
No, Jim, you know me, I'm not ambitious at all. I just want to stand still and not make any changes. No. To be fair, for the team, I'll start with the team first. The ambition for the team is to make sure we can stay in the Southern League for this year and look to build on any success.
And get a record finish.
Yeah, and look to build on any success we've got from this season and keep building blocks. As individuals, I quite often ask them, when they do the Meet the Mitre, what's their ambition, and personal ambition is to score more goals or to keep clean sheets or to do this, that and the other, and the team ambition is always to strive for success. So the team ambition is to strive to be more successful than last year and hopefully more successful than any Cleve team's ever been. My personal one, I've got a lot of desires to keep managing Bishop's Cleve Football Club for a number of years. And to be able to do that, it would mean that I'd have to be quite successful, because you're not going to be kept in a job if you're not. So for me, I'd like to, get that record. I'm going to put it on record and say I'd like to get that record, just to cement my place in Cleve history. I'm starting to do little things like that. This is the best start the team's ever had.
Mm-hmm.
The previous best was 23 points by the end of November, and we've got 30. So hopefully we can kick on from there. But it's going to be tough, and I guess my overriding ambition is to make sure that I'm as successful as I can be in what I want to achieve, and that's just success for Bishop's Cleve Football Club. And to define success, it depends who you're asking. You could be successful by ensuring that for the next 10 years we stay in and around 10th place in the league. That'd be a good achievement. Yep. Or you can be a little bit more pokey than that and a bit more brave than that, and who knows, maybe this year we might not be ready to do it, but I think, like I said earlier, if we can keep the squad of players together, then why not look to perhaps get into the playoffs and see where that takes us.
And we could do with attracting a few more people down through the gates.
Yeah, that is the disappointing thing for me, that we don't get enough people through the gates. But I can understand his finances and stuff like that. There is a recession on, but I just ask and beg really anyone who thinks about it on a Saturday afternoon, if they're not doing anything, pop down to Cape Lane, and whether it be the first team, the second team that are there, you're going to see a team of relatively youngish players that want to try and improve and get the ball down and play some good football, but ultimately do their best for the shirt. And that's one of the things that was missing it sometimes last year, and which we definitely got this year. And I said to them on Saturday, they've got some of the spirit that some of the teams I played in had. I said it after the post-match interview on Saturday, Jim, to you. And by that I just mean, the number of times that we carried ourselves through games by just wanting to do it for each other and wanting to do it for Bishop's Cleve Football Club was unbelievable. We'd be down and out in games, and the spirit would take us through, and we've shown that this year. We've been losing games and got draws, and we come from behind to win games, and it's great to see. But now I just want to hopefully see us keep that going and kick on a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's not expensive, Steve. When you look at what people are charging now for a lot less, and I mean, 10, 15, 20 quid so that they're normally getting anywhere nowadays.
Yeah.
And you know, you can do that for a lot less at Bishop's Cleeve.
Yeah, no.
And it's good value for money.
Yeah, no, and you know, I wish we could get more people down there, and they'd enjoy it. You know, that is the thing. I think if they did come down once, you know, they would enjoy it, and they'd move on.
And you've got good facilities.
Yeah, we've got some very good facilities, and you know, we play some good football, and we try. You know, it's a great picturesque when the sun's shining, or you know, when it's slightly chilly, and you know, it's good to see. And you know, you've got the soccer stacks that's always open if you wanted to have a little naughty bird or something like that.
Listen, there's one remaining question, Steve, and it's a big one going round the club. It's, I suppose, the elephant in the house. And I'm going to ask it. People said I wouldn't have the nerve to ask you. I'm going to ask you. It's about the beard. Is it staying? Is this the reason for the success, Steve?
It's definitely not the reason for the success, no. No, the beard, I basically got to 37, I thought I've never had a beard, Jim, so I thought, why not try it?
Yeah.
People say it looks good, some people say it doesn't look so good, but you know, I'll keep it for a while longer and see. But
well, if it's a reason for success, for God's sake, don't touch it. We don't want a Samsonite.
No, that's right. Yeah, no, I'd like to think it was the reason for the success, but I think the first week I decided to go out, we lost to Winchester, so I don't know if it's that.
I was just growing then.
We shall see. We shall see, Jim. But it's quite interesting that that people are noticing it, and I think I'm glad that people are noticing. Not my silly little beard, but basically that Bishop's Cleeve Football Club wanted to get themselves back on the map. Right. And if I can help do that, I had some great success as a player. The club was buzzing, and we had some good players. The wives and girlfriends all got involved, which was brilliant. We had some good fans coming through, and we still got a few of them there. But it'd be nice to get a few more back.
It would be, and I hope the fans notice for one major thing here this evening, Steve. We've done all this and there's no beverages.
No, that's right, yeah. That's a bad thing.
We'll be teetotal.
No, that's right, yeah. It'd be nice to have a chinwag over a beer and stuff like that. But
Steve, it's been a great pleasure having a chat with you. I hope you've enjoyed it.
No, cheers, Jim.
And let's see what we can do this year. See if we can get a few more people through the gates and you go onwards and upwards even more. And it's a record finish this year.
Yeah, definitely. That's on the card.
10th or better.
Yeah, I'd love that. Yeah, definitely.
Steve, thanks.
Cheers, Jim. Thank you.